Hi, I'm Cameron Wheeler, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about operations and supply chain management and what I learned while researching this topic. There are five main decisions managers have to make in the operations function, but I want to focus mainly on the supply chain. So to start, what is operations management? Operations management is the use of good business practices to design and control the process of production to make it as effective and efficient as possible. A basic definition I found for operations management is the management of systems or processes that create goods and provide services. The basic role of operations management is to convert inputs like raw materials into finished goods and services. Within operations management, there are a variety of functions, including planning, scheduling, organizing, purchasing, controlling, quality control, and inventory control. What I learned from this is that it takes a lot of effort on the manager's part to get the operations processes to work efficiently. Within the operations management, there are four main types of production systems, including continuous, mass, batch, and job shop. Each production system has its own set of advantages and disadvantages, so it is up to the manager to decide which advantages they want to prioritize to create the most efficient and productive system. From the picture on the right, we can see that the continuous production, you'll receive a higher volume and speed of production with a lower level of product variety. Then on the other hand, with a job shop, you'll receive a low amount of operation volume with a very high level of product variety. Then mass and batch production provide a good middle ground between volume and variety and customization. Next, I want to talk about supply chain management, which is a little different than operations management. So what is supply chain management? Supply chain management, or also referred to as SCM, is the handling of everything that goes on in the production flow of a good or service, starting from raw materials all the way until the finished product reaches the customer's hands. Taking a deeper look into supply chain management, there are five different parts that make it work, which we can see in the next slide. So these five parts include planning, sourcing, manufacturing, delivering, and returning. Planning is useful to control inventory in all manufacturing processes. Sourcing helps identify reliable vendors that will deliver and procure goods on time. Manufacturing involves everything it takes to transform the raw materials into the final product. Delivering refers to the utilization of different forms of transportation, such as road, air, and rail. And finally, returning deals with faulty and unwanted products from the customer and is one of the most important components of the supply chain that needs to be minimized. So why is SCM important? It's important because it turns the process of turning raw materials into a good or service a customer can use into a much more seamless experience. It benefits both the company and the customer by optimizing and organizing production times and delivery methods. SCM is all about getting the right product to the right place at the right time, and the most basic supply chains involve as little as a company, suppliers, and customers. The picture on the right explains the supply chain management process of starting with raw materials and eventually delivering the final product to the customer. So first, the raw materials are sent by suppliers to be manufactured into a usable product or service, and then are distributed through various transportation methods, either directly to the customer or to retailers, which are then sold to the customers. And as we saw during the beginning of 2020, there were a lot of product shortages due to COVID-19 and panic purchasing, and we are still struggling today with supply chains, like with the recent baby formula shortages. A good fix to this problem is creating buffers in case of times of crises, but this can be difficult because it is not always in a company's best interest to do this. Stockpiling inventory and building more manufacturing equipment can help, but it can be very costly for a business to do this, especially with the low risk of having a crisis like we did with COVID. So now that I've talked a little about both operations and supply management, I think it is important to differentiate the two because they both involve similar parts of the operations process. So operations management refers specifically to the managing of the manufacturing operations and making the processes run more efficiently and smoothly, which includes the input of raw materials into the output of final goods. Then supply chain management refers to the management of the products as a whole, such as planning out transportation, storage, and product flow, rather than how the products are made, like with operation management. And lastly, even with diligent managers, I learned that supply chain complexity problems can still arise. Adoption of new technologies and product lines can create a more complicated supply chain, which can either increase efficiency or create problems through faulty or unreliable processes. And this is a newer problem that managers are going to have to deal with soon in the future. That's everything. So I hope through this presentation, I was able to describe a little bit better of how operations and supply chain management are important in the process of starting from raw materials and delivering a final product to the customer. With the help of managers, operations processes and supply chains can become effectively utilized to give the customer a quality and quick experience. And that's it. Thanks.